Welcome to the first ever episode of the Nick Claxton Fan Club. I'm Q. That's Marty. We got Ben and Rocco. So this is gonna be a podcast where we talk about basketball and kind of what's going on in the NBA world. Maybe during college season we might get into college. We might end up talking about life, but for now we're just gonna talk about basketball. What do we want to start today?
Start with the Celtics. 7-game series. It shouldn't have gone to 7. I mean, Harden was crazy for games 1 and 4. We had Embiid, Embiid did nothing that whole series, and we had no reason to let him take it to 7, but we did. And up until the third quarter of Game 7, it was not far and away that we were gonna win. And I think there was a stat on the screen on Game 7 where Tatum had that dunk in the first quarter, and it was that's the first quarter field goal he's made since Game 3. And so I'm left with a lot of questions. I don't know if the roster. I think the roster's set. I don't know about if this organization's ready to win a finals right now.
My bad, Marty. My biggest takeaway from this series was that we should be worried as fans of the Celtics. We did not play our best basketball until the last game of the series, and although that's good looking forward, perhaps that we're just playing our best basketball now, I think there should be legitimate concern about the fact that someone like Jason Tatum hadn't scored in the first quarter in multiple games, and he was putting up stinkers throughout the first half of most of these games. I think one of the biggest things is also going to be coaching, and I think Joe Mazzulla may be a little too fresh, a little too new to figure it out for a championship run. And I think those adjustments are going to have to come sooner rather than later, especially going up against a team in the Heat that have been playing really well recently. Um, we're going to have to make a lot of adjustments soon, or our season's going to end.
Yeah, I think after Game 3, I was saying Celtics were going to win in 5. That's what I was predicting. But then, I didn't predict Tatum to just fall off the map till Game 7. And then also, I think we're going to have an easier run after the Sixers. I think that's the toughest team we face going forward. Because I think the Suns would give us trouble, but I think we can beat the Nuggets. We definitely can beat the Lakers. And the Heat, I don't know. They're kind of a wild card because 8 seed, but they're playing above their level right now. But honestly, I think we are the best team left, and I think we have the best odds.
I don't disagree with you, Marty. I do think, however, we shouldn't we shouldn't get too comfortable because at any moment Jimmy Butler can win the Heat a series. Jimmy Butler has proven time and time again that he is that motherfucker when it comes to playoff basketball. He is going to come to play no matter what the rest of the team does. So that is always something to have in your mind when you go up against the Heat in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'd say also that we need to talk about more than just Tatum. Brown has been putting up low 20s, maybe not even each game against Philly. Even though Tatum didn't score in the first quarter, there were games he was still coming up with 30. I think it was game 4 or 5. He had 36. But Jalen's been silent, and he's supposed to be that number 2 guy, but he's supposed to be a loud number 2. That's what made Boston Boston. And then you'd have Brogdon giving you a quiet 19-20. And then Derek White putting up 15. Marcus is going to give you 12 and 7. Without JB making a loud statement, the pressure goes on to Tatum. And then defenses are going to force Tatum. because Jalen's gonna put up sneaky numbers, but he's not going on those runs like he's used to in the regular season, and that's gonna be part of it. Somebody needs to tell Jalen, you're that number two, but it's like we have two number one guys. Step up and be that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about putting like JB not performing up to his potential, putting pressure on Tatum. When we look at last year's finals against the Warriors, I mean, Tatum shit the bed that entire series, and the only reason that series went 2-6 was because JB was putting up what he needed to put up to get us there. And like, I think the rhetoric around this team has kind of put Jaylen Brown as kind of like the emotional heart. Like him and Marcus have always been like the emotional heart and like the toughness and the backbone of this team. So now we're looking at, and like, who was Jaylen Brown's matchup in this series? Like, who was guarding Jaylen Brown? It was not like, he was not getting guarded by like a pristine,
I think it
immaculate perimeter.
was Toby. No. It was like Toby or PJ, one of the two.
Right.
Because Maxey was at the 2,
yeah.
and we had JB at the 3.
Right. And we had like PJ, who's been known to just like lock down whoever. Like he's the guy who guards the superstar, and so he was on Tatum. Like especially towards the end of that series, he was focusing a lot of his attention on Tatum, and so JB was against a favorable matchup, and Tatum a lot of the time was not like his usage was not like incredibly high, and even when it was, he wasn't making shots. So for Jaylen Brown to not take that extra step and not go crazy when his co-star is kind of falling off the map, like when I say this series shouldn't have gone to 7, like it's because like the Jaylen Brown we know, the Jaylen Brown we think we have, should not have allowed this series to go to 7, especially with Harden and Embiid not playing up to potential.
Yeah, so Toby was guarding him. And Toby, a couple steals, never getting. He got like 2 blocks for the series, but each game, 5 fouls, another 5 fouls, 4 fouls. He's putting up fouls. So JB should be able to score. It's not like Tobias was an elite defender. And in terms of you talking about last postseason, when we saw Tatum last postseason, the main complaint was he's passing. He's not looking for his shot, and that's a problem because he's a shot maker. They had the comparisons to like Kobe shot. He's going to get you a bucket. Tatum this series is looking for that bucket. We need the Jalen that we saw from last series to also look for that bucket. Because if they're putting up 75, 80 combined points, no one's stopping them. If that's just realism, no one is.
And I think part of that comes down to what I noticed most out of Jaylen Brown from this past series against the Sixers is I found a lot of the time when he was going quiet, he was playing down in the short corner, which is not something you necessarily want your superstar. Well, superstar may be a stretch, but all-star at least all-star caliber players to be. You don't want them staying in the short corner unless they're a big man.
Yeah, you want Tobias Harris in the short corner.
So. Tobias Harris in the short corner.
Elite short corner player.
We're not going to talk about that right now. I have history with Tobias Harris in the short corner. But no, seriously, I noticed that Jaylen Brown, when he was going quiet in those games, a lot of the time I would look on the TV and I would see him sitting in the short corner just watching the play happen rather than going up to like outside the 3-point line and getting the ball and making something happen himself. Like I don't think that being the player Jaylen Brown is, I don't think someone like Malcolm Brogdon or like Marcus Smart or Derek White should be getting more touches on offense than Jaylen Brown is.
No.
That's just it's kind of absurd to see that. So I think Jaylen needs to be more aggressive in demanding the ball from his teammates. And I think if it's a coaching thing, like I mentioned before, if Joe Mazzulla is putting him in the short corner, that needs to be addressed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll also say
I think
this. Oh, no, you go actually.
Jaylen Brown, he's been quiet, but he's not been like shooting terribly. So he should be when Tatum is going off. I mean, not going off. That's what I'm saying. He's like off shooting. Brown should be commanding the ball and trying to take it to him. He's like fading off to the corner, fading off to the off ball, while like Derek White and like Marcus Smart are trying to create shots, which is who we shouldn't have doing that. And I also think Joe Mazzulla is a terrible coach. And like Marcus Smart said, all the offense is random, or most of it. Like how you're in the NBA, you're running a random offense, just telling them to go out there and score. Like that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I also think this team is too good to have when Tatum's like off. We should still be dominating. Our team's so deep that we should just still be running the Sixers off the court.
I'll say this: if not running off, we should be up and it should be close.
Yeah.
I'll also say
Yeah.
this about the Celtics, and this is going to be a positive. The way we play defense, though it looked bad, when you think about it, it really makes sense. So if you looked how we defended Embiid, we were letting him pull anything. Like anything from midi, anything, we let him pull anything. That looks like bad defense, but when you think about the Philly team, when were the times Philly beat the Celtics? It's when they had Harden, when they had Maxey. When they're putting up points, that's when we're losing. So if you think about them kind of letting Embiid run, that's the times when Embiid's not passing the ball. He's just going to score. But at the same time, that means James isn't scoring, Tyrese isn't scoring. You don't have PJ Tucker hitting them corner threes. So it puts it down to one person scoring. And if we have more people scoring and we have people who are on that game, I like that. However, for like Miami, that's not going to work. Because if they do that to Jimmy might drop 60. And it's not like they can do it to Bam because Bam's trying to give the ball to Jimmy.
Yeah. Bam's not like that on offense. He can't just hit shots from out there.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Philly was like the thing that really annoys me about us taking this game or the Sixers taking us to 7 is the fact that like we've beat Philly so many times and like we've proven what we have to do. We know what we have to do. They haven't changed their approach. They have the exact same game they had last year, the year before, even if they add pieces, take away pieces, whatever. Like this is a series that we really should have had done in 5. And like again, stopping Joel Embiid, especially in the playoffs in a high intensity environment where we have like the depth we have, the superstars we have, the scoring we have, like Embiid is so convinced that he's that guy, and he's proven for like the last damn near half decade that he is definitively not that guy, but he's still going to pull shots like he is, but he can't hit in high pressure environments.
Yeah.
So
not playoff ready.
it's just I don't know. The fact that like Philly as an organization, I fully believe they should just rip the whole thing down to the studs. Like I don't think any combination of those pieces is enough to win a title because Embiid, like for that to happen, Embiid needs to be the guy, and he's not like when the lights are on the brightest, he's just not, and I don't think he ever will be.
Embiid is another superstar.
Right. But my point being is that Philly team took us to 7. The Heat, yeah, they're like a way lower seed, but now we're in the playoffs and the Heat are playing playoff basketball. I mean, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Knicks. Like they beat two teams on the opposite end of the spectrum where the Bucks are a proven contender who have all the pieces. Like, yeah, they weren't performing up to their potential and whatnot, but Heat disposed of them in 5. The Knicks were like a young team, had a lot to prove on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from the Bucks, still beat them easily. So the fact that like the Heat can beat any team when they turn it on. And I don't know if the Celtics can just turn it on in return for 7 games to like make that series go the way we want it to. I don't know if this team with Joe Mazzulla at the helm. I mean, he's so bad. Like tactically, like I get like the locker room know him, like he's a good motivator, whatever. But tactically speaking, if you watch his offense, Marcus Smart was 100% right. It is just random offense. We've been playing the same hero ball like last year in the playoffs when we were like down on our shit and nobody could make shots. It all just evolved into hero ball and there was no like organization. And we don't even let it get to a point of desperation anymore before we resort to hero ball. We just do it normally. Like that's
Yeah.
part of
Every
the
possession.
routine.
16
And
seconds
we
on the
just
clock, hero ball.
Yeah.
exactly. We're not gonna. We can't. We're not going anywhere if that's how we continue to play. We need to make adjustments. We need to make them fucking fast, dude. Because this team's just
Yeah.
not. This team's not going as far as we want them to.
Yeah. And, you know, I personally disagree. I think that, you know, he'd have no hero. And we can also stretch this conversation just the finals into what's going to be the finals into that. I don't think the Heat have what it's take. I think Hero being that like X factor, get you a bucket, him being out is gonna be a problem. Rob Williams is gonna give Bam a hard damn time every single game. Al Horford will be giving Bam a harder time. It's not like Bam has Julius Randle, who doesn't like playing defense on him. And then when we talk about the first round, you know, he had Brook Lopez, and Brook Lopez had his games. And then there's Giannis in the paint, but Jimmy's Jimmy. And there's nobody, like, Drew wasn't clamping him. Chris Middleton hasn't really been the same since whatever injury he dealt with in the last whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen the same efficient defensive 2-3-and-D Chris Middleton. We haven't. So I don't know if the Heat really have it. I think with a Smart on Butler matchup, I think that's gonna be nice. And then when you don't have Smart in, putting Brogdon or Derek White on Butler, I think that'll be nice. I think the Celtics need to also run with Robert at the 5 and Al at the 4. I think we need to keep running that. I I like that for us. I think we get it in 6. The Heat haven't
Yeah.
beaten us since the bubble. The bubble, we also had injured Kemba. There were a lot more factors to that.
Yeah,
Philly hasn't beaten us in 5 years. Philly hasn't beaten us since the Kyrie era. So, I mean, Philly, should it have gone to 7? No. Philly also didn't have James Harden talent. You know, James Harden. He's not a superstar, but the guy will give you a bucket. And on any given night, he could give you 30. He may not be that superstar, I'm giving you 30 every night, but he can still do it. He just changed his role for what the team needs. And for him to be a 20 and 10 a night guy, so Embiid could put up 30 and 15, he did what he had to do. But he can still give you 30. I don't mind that series going to 7. I think that'll be the toughest matchup for the Celtics. I think we beat the Heat in 6. And then if I'm being, like, optimistic, I'd love to see a Celtics-Lakers race to 18 titles finals. And I think the Celtics obliterate the Lakers. I think it's in 5. I really do.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
don't know about
Yes.
that one.
That is
That's
no,
my
give me the Lakers.
honest.
Celtics in like 5 or 6.
I think it's the
That's-
Celtics in 5 or 6.
I
That's a
I see
crazier
that as
take
a
than you think
bold
it is.
statement because the
I think
Lakers
Nuggets
have,
we beat by more though. Nuggets we beat
I-
by more.
I think it's Nuggets
think
in
the
4.
Lakers-
I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
I mean, not Nuggets in
I
4.
think the-
Celtics in 4.
I think against the Lakers it's at least a 6-game series because the way this team has turned their season around so quickly tells me that they're ready. Even if they haven't been together long, what we've seen from them is like it's not historic winning, but they're a very very solid team, and I mean realistically, I don't see any way you're never going to be able to fully stop LeBron. There's no one in the league can really truly stop LeBron from having a night. LeBron is going to get his on any given night. Anthony Davis, as we know, can be streaky. He's either on or he's off. But when he's on, he is a big problem, huge problem. And I think you may be underestimating the value of the role players that they have around them now. Because I mean, like D'Lo, since he got to the back to the Lakers, has been really solid. They've got Austin Reeves, who's been showing out this season. They've got people like
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Jared Vanderbilt, who's a huge hustle player for them, and he's gonna match the energy of Marcus Smart, I think, in that facet of the game. So I think the Lakers can cause some serious problems for the Celtics if we take it too lightly.
That's a fair point.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I agree with you, Ben. I actually think LeBron's the type of player he can just win like 2 games by himself. It doesn't matter how bad his team's doing. He's just gonna win 2 because he's LeBron. And I mean, the Lakers. I think those late trades really just turned the season around.
Yeah.
That one Westbrook like deal and all that with the Timberwolves.
Getting rid of Westbrook might have been great for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like 20 missed shots off the board. And it's just like, I think it was too late to like turn the seeding around, but they weren't like a whatever seed they were, whatever playing seed they were, 7, 8.
They were
7.
Yeah,
they were 7.
they
were like
ended
more
up
like
with
a
7, I think.
Yeah,
they were more like a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah.
The way that team was built at the end.
I mean, think about it. 9 games left. They were the 11th seed. They pushed to the 7th play-in and beat everybody they had to beat. That's a good team. But matchup-wise, I think we have them. I think we're going to be physical with Anthony Davis. And with Anthony Davis playing that 5, it's hard for him to be consistent when there's a consistent physical matchup at the 5. You know...
Yeah.
He's a 4. Let's be real. He's not a true 5. When we talk about true 5s, it's a guy with size. Steven Adams, real buff, they're durable. Anthony Davis is durable.
Nick Claxton?
Nick Claxton?
He's a little lanky.
I mean, but Nick Claxton, durable. When we talk about AD...
Durable play, I'll give you that.
He's not durable. That's a 4. When you put a true 5 on him, you can see his weaknesses, and I think he has a higher chance of injury. And I think that's something the Lakers need to worry about. I don't think he has that problem in the paint with Jokic, as Jokic isn't the most elite defender. And with Jokic's speed, I think AD is going to be playing a lot of, 15-foot, post fade, whatever the case may be. But with us... Robert can step there, or Al can step there. We might even put Marcus to step there, whoever. If we put Marcus at that 15-foot, and then we have Robert in the paint, the moment he comes, Robert's there. Robert's there to be physical. So I don't know. I think he has a higher chance of getting injured or not being as consistent due to our physicality.
I would just like... Sorry, you can go. I've been going.
Appreciate you. All right, my honest take is that I think whoever comes out of the West wins the finals. I agree that I don't think the Heat have it this year.
Fake
just because they got aging parts. Nobody's really playing up to their potential right now.
Who?
And then I think the Celtics. I don't see it with this team. I don't see it with Joe Mazzulla. I think coaching in the NBA is something that's not it's not the most important need for a team, especially if you can put the right pieces in place. But for this team specifically, I do think coaching's a huge need, and we've proven that through the years. Because look at the jump from Brad Stevens to Ime Udoka, and what that team did in just 1 year. with like almost no moving parts. It was just the change in coaching, and we went from like second round exit to NBA Finals. And I don't think with Joe Mazzulla, but what I will say is I think Denver is the title favorite right now. In my opinion, just because Jokic, I mean, I don't know if there's any center left in the playoffs that can stop him, because like you said, Anthony Davis has that, like, he's got that injury concern playing at the 5, which is like a more physical position. AD can't take that physicality. Jokic is, I would say, by far the most physical center, the most physical, like, star center in the league. I mean, dude's built like a fucking brick shithouse. Like, he's 300 pounds of pure Serbian steel in the paint. And I really don't think there's any centers left that can, like, challenge that. I mean, I love Robert Williams, but he's as fragile as AD. And
I think
I don't see anybody taking Denver, because they got, like, they have perimeter shooting, they have playmaking, they have a dominant force, they have depth, like, they have everything a title contender needs, and they have the coach of the year. I don't see anybody taking Denver.
The coach of the year.
They do not have the coach of the year.
yeah,
Huh?
Coach of the year is Mike
Coach of the
Brown,
year
pal.
was Mike
Mike
Brown,
I
dog.
think it's Mike Malone.
That's
My
Sacramento.
bad. My point
Coach of the year, Michael Malone.
Malone was in contention. That's all I'm saying.
No, he was.
Yeah, he was
They were the
up there.
first
He was,
seed
I
in the
think.
West. No shit, he's in
No,
Yeah,
contention.
exactly.
he was in there. But
I think if we
I would-
guard Jokic like we did Embiid, have Al on him, and then Rob like helps weak side, I think that's how we guard him, and I think we can contain him. Because if you think about the Nuggets, they kind of have a similar build to the 76ers. They got like a point guard that's good, and then they got that like wing shooter like a Tobias Harris, Michael Porter Jr. So if we like guard them the same way, I think we can be successful against them.
True, but Aaron Gordon, where is he in that situation?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not worried about Aaron Gordon.
I think Denver.
You're
I
fine.
think the largest difference between Denver and Philadelphia is just the fact that, like, Denver, okay, Philadelphia has proven that they are just, like, choke artists. Like, they're fundamentally unsound as an organization to the point where they can't even get past the second round. They haven't gotten past the second round since 2001. Denver is kind of an unproven asset, because these past few years are like the first time when we're starting to see them like put the pieces together like Milwaukee did. Because remember, Milwaukee, before they won the title, was that like second round exit type team where we didn't really know what they could do if they could put everything together. And then they did, and they beat a really, really strong Phoenix team in the finals. And I think Jokic is infinitely mentally and physically stronger than Embiid. I really don't like Embiid. He's a fucking free throw merchant.
Did the Sixers not make the Eastern Conference in 19?
No, they haven't.
No, in 19? So who did the Raptors face?
I think that was the second round, wasn't it?
Yeah, they beat them in the second round.
That was second
Yeah.
round? I thought that was third.
Yeah, and then
that was the second round. Because one of the biggest arguments against like Embiid in his career so far is he has not made it out of the second round yet.
Yeah.
In his entire career.
Yeah.
So that
Denver
they played Milwaukee.
Yeah. Okay. Denver has like I think that Aaron Gordon piece and like the player Aaron Gordon's become is a lot more important to that Denver team than people realize. Like, we've seen Denver get to the Western Conference Finals before.
Have we?
And yeah,
bubble.
Back in the bubble. They played in the bubble.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've seen Denver do that before with a weaker roster. And now and that roster's stayed like fundamentally the same for the past few years. So all those guys know how to play with each other. They've all gotten better. They have more wing depth with like Bruce Brown, KCP, just like really, really solid role players.
Bruce Brown is a nasty.
I love
Bruce
Brown.
Dog.
He's so good.
He's a grinder, dog. But yeah, Denver is that team. I really, really do think. I think Denver beats LA. I think the only problem with that take is that I think the matchup with like who's going to guard Braun, I think that's going to be a more difficult matchup.
No
one's guarding him. No one's containing him.
No one can guard him on Denver.
Huh?
Can I just?
Hey,
Stick Aaron Gordon on him and pray. Maybe
I was
Aaron
going for
Gordon
his
just
age
defense,
doesn't
becomes
like,
matter with
prime Tony
LeBron.
Allen.
Age doesn't matter with
I don't
LeBron.
know. I don't know. I think
he's
Denver.
averaging
I think
30
Denver
this year.
finds
It doesn't matter.
Denver. I really think Denver finds a way to take that series, and
If
I
they
think
take it,
whoever
they
comes
take it
out.
in 7.
All
I
right.
mean, I don't disagree with that, but whoever takes the West takes the finals. That's my
If the
opinion.
If it's all right with you guys, I would just like to take it back a couple steps back to the Celtics Sixers series, and I want to take a look at see what you guys think from the Sixers perspective. I want to know how you think their off season's going to go, and like what's going on in the head of someone like Embiid or Harden, because I if I'm thinking remembering correctly, Harden's is Harden a free agent this season?
let's
Or
see.
I think he's got like a player option or something.
Yeah.
Contract.
I think they get rid of him, though. I think that's the play.
Yeah.
Whether it's he's leaving in free agency or trade. He's just aging, not the same player. I think they got to build around Maxey and Embiid.
Oh
You
no,
know,
he has a
Tobias those
contract
guys.
extension, so he is next year. Oh no, he declined it. Oh shit.
yeah, so he is a free agent then. So
Oh, that was for
do you
2022, 2023. Oh no, so he has another year. Because
okay?
last season he declined it so he could get a better 2-year contract extension.
Got it. All
What do
right.
you do with your
Well,
Philly?
um,
Rip it to
personally,
shreds.
yeah, I don't know because
Maxey and Embiid
the
get rid
way
of everyone else.
the way I look at it is I think realistically this roster is good enough to be a contender. But I don't think Doc Rivers is the coach for it. We've seen time and time again Doc Rivers has been in 10 different game sevens and has lost them. So that's a crazy
God
stat, but
damn,
it's
that's
true.
bad. That's
Yeah.
bad.
But I think a lot of teams have been when they've been eliminated from the playoffs this season, it seems like all the coaches are on super short leashes, and so we've seen a couple of guys get fired. So someone like Monty Williams, who just got fired from the Suns, I think
Wait,
if
what?
they pick
Yeah,
up
Monty
I
Williams
didn't
got
even hear
fired.
that.
Yeah, they just fired
That's
him. After
fucking
I think-
four
wild.
seasons.
That's
At
I
the
think-
None of them.
crazy.
I think
Budenholzer
there's a
got
chance
fired.
that the Sixers run it back with a really similar roster and pick up a new head coach, someone like Monty Williams, who I think is a really good coach and just maybe wasn't the right fit for Phoenix right now.
Maybe. I think that Philly doesn't become a tender until
Wait, didn't
they.
Budenholzer get fired too?
Budenholzer also got fired.
That's true, yeah.
And
Budenholzer
that's
was
2
also
years
You go
after the
there.
chip. It's not like Steve
I know,
Kerr's
that's
going to get
crazy.
fired. Steve Kerr's not going to get
Yeah, he's got
fired.
a.
You
Steve Kerr's not a
know,
good coach. I've always said that.
that is. No, but he's not
Wait,
getting
what'd you
fired.
say?
Steve
You said
Kerr.
Steve Kerr? He's not a good coach?
That team isn't run by
That-
like
that
Steve
team, he
Kerr.
didn't
Really.
need a coach.
Wild thing.
Even Steve has said it is. He doesn't run the
That's-
team. He lets the players kind of run.
Yeah, he just lets Curry. They
That-
just set screens for Curry, and then they freaking.
That team's a Draymond run team. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's
Draymond runs the offense. Draymond runs the defense. Draymond is like the coaching staff for that team. And before Draymond, when you talked about the coaching staff, a lot of the successful coaches came from that coaching staff. So you gotta wonder, was Steve really doing it? Or was it the assistant coaches? Mike Brown was on that coaching staff. Now Mike Brown is coach of the year. It's first time Kings make the playoffs since 01, all that jazz. The Kings had Boogie for 6 seasons. They didn't make the playoffs with DeMarcus Cousins, who was a top 3 center when he played for them. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think he's the
even,
greatest coach.
Even like that 73-9 season. Like a lot of that season was coached by Luke Walton. Let's remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
73-9. Luke Walton.
Luke Walton, baby. Lakers
Yes.
legend.
Terrible coach.
Terrible coach. Lakers legend.
Really
Yeah.
bad coach.
And he could do
2
it.
chips.
They were like undefeated with Luke Walton.
I think the Sixers
So-
needed a second superstar. I think they need a guy with playoff experience and not like Chris Paul level. They need a guy who's been to the finals. They need like who do I say? Like, if they had Drew Holiday, that'd be a nice. Like, if Philly got Drew Holiday back, that'd be gross. If Philly got shit Clay, even Clay wouldn't be terrible. But like
I
somebody who has
think
that finals experience to be able to step up and someone to get in Embiid's face and be like, "Yo, lock in." You could argue Jimmy Butler was that.
Jimmy Butler was that guy. They got
Jimmy
rid of
Butler
him.
was
that's
that guy.
exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Jimmy Butler is like letting him go is one of the worst decisions the Sixers could have made.
That led to the
Also-
Sixers' downfall.
Also, just for the record, right? PJ Tucker did win a chip in Milwaukee.
Ain't nobody
That
talking
is
about
a
PJ
star
Tucker.
right there. That is a star.
I don't care
That
how many
is-
corner threes he takes.
Get Bobby Portis on the Sixers. Let's go.
But like you get like a Drew Holiday, or if you get Jimmy back, that's not gonna happen. But if they kept Jimmy, they would have been a lot better circumstances. Jimmy, man, that's great. Terrible regular season player, but like in the
He's
playoffs,
different.
I wouldn't call him a terrible regular
He's
season.
real
Yeah,
mid.
terrible's
Like,
a little
Okay,
Putting
not
up
harsh.
like 24, 5, and 5.
no, he's
What?
putting up like 22 a game.
Hold on. Jimmy,
He's putting up like
shot.
22, 23. Like him and Bam are like right there with each other.
Oh yeah, not true. 23, 6, and 5.
And it's not that that's bad.
Those are still
It's-
really good stats to be
Yeah, I
fair.
was gonna say.
But
that's
when
not bad.
but when what's he averaging in the playoffs? Like 30, 31? So it's like
he turns it up.
he's turning up in the playoffs. But also if he's not playing as under in the regular season, is he able to turn off in the playoffs? Because how many games did Jimmy play? Because Jimmy played what, 50, 60 games?
64.
Yeah, he's not playing a full season. He's not even playing 70. And if he's not playing at 100%, that gives him the ability to put in 100% in the playoffs and put up whatever numbers. If he plays at 100% during the regular season, is he gonna do the same? Is he putting up the same output in the playoffs? If he's putting in 100% and giving you like 70 games at 100%, so putting up 28, whatever, is he? No, he's not.
You're talking to me.
Anybody. Shit.
I got a shirt pulled up. What was the question? I was zoned in
So,
on fucking
like-
Minnesota years.
Let, let's say that
I thought he
let's say he puts up, if he puts a usage rate or an output of 100%, because we see Jimmy in the regular season, I don't think he's going 100%. If he's putting in 100% for 70 games and averaging 27, 28 a game, is he having the same output in the playoffs, or is he burned out? Because, with Kawhi, we saw that. Kawhi had a down year, but when it came to the playoffs, that man was dropping numbers. Without a Paul George, he's dropping them numbers. He's putting in the 100%. I don't think he does. And I also think that leads to the other problem, which is players not putting in 100% in the season, load management, all that. I think that's a big problem. Ant said it best, if you're able to play, you should be playing. I don't see any excuses for that, unless maybe you're too busy on Instagram toting a gun. Sorry, Jaw.
What a segue.
Yeah, good
Oh,
segue.
man. What a
Speaking of which, let's go into some Temetrius talk.
Let's talk about Temetrius.
fucking dolt.
I'm ashamed of this nation that Paul Pierce loses his job for having fun on Instagram Live, and John Morant still has one after a second gun thing.
Ravaged.
Yeah, Paul Pierce was just having a good time, and he lost his job at ESPN. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Well, ESPN, Disney, all that jazz. How do y'all feel
Yeah.
about what Jaw did? For
John
people who
Morant
don't
gets
know,
a third chance.
for people who don't know, Jaw a couple months ago was seen on Instagram doing some crazy things, and he had the weapon on deck. And he got suspended however many games, and he was all on TV, being all apologetic with Jalen Rose. And now it's 3 months later, and he's on Instagram Live, toting an even bigger gun. Like,
Yeah.
that was the
And
funniest
this is
thing.
and
Get that upgrade.
this is after he supposedly went to rehab for
Change.
however long. I think it was like 90 hours, which is nothing. I don't know why anyone thought that would do anything. And it was
90
in
Man went to
hours.
Florida
rehab
also,
for gun
which
abuse.
it's Florida.
How do you think that rehab
So,
worked? Jaw,
um,
no guns for 90 hours straight. Like, what the?
oh my goodness. I saw a super funny tweet like yesterday. It was like, I've lost all faith in 90-hour Florida rehab facilities. I was dying when I saw that. But yeah, no, I think it's really disappointing, honestly, because he kind of, I think, made a front to the public that he was trying to make a change, and then we see him so soon after doing the exact same thing. I
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to make it look like he's trying to change, but in reality, he's living the same way, and he's not actually making anything happen in his life that's going to be beneficial for his future in the league.
And if you watch the video, literally the person who's recording, because it's not his Instagram Live, it's his friends. He at one point ducks and hides the camera when Jaw pulls it out. So it's like his friends know, everybody around him knows. Don't joke try that on live. You have a career. You're a Nike athlete. You are the NBA's one of the faces of the NBA. There are millions and billions of people looking around you. You can't have that. And you know, uh, bring it back. Gilbert Arenas, 2008. We remember he brought a gun in the locker room. That man got banished
That's no
from the
chill.
league. That man got banished from the league. He was blackballed and he was outcasted. And that was one thing. And for full context, it was in the locker room. He had pulled it out of self-defense. The guy who had pulled a gun originally on him is actually in prison or was in prison. Jaw's pulling out a gun on Instagram Live while singing rapper lyrics. What's the... There's a... You know... We need to have a talk about that. And this time the Grizzlies suspended him. So it also makes you think, what's Grizzlies? What's Memphis' next move? Because they're suspending him now.
I think for the Grizzlies, it's like it's probably it's worrisome for sure, but it's not. Ja is too good of a player for them to be considering moving him at this point. If something else were to happen, my opinion might change on that, but he's he's obviously the star of that franchise. I mean, he's got a really decent core around him with Jaren Jackson. Uh, we've got who Tyus Jones, is it Tyus or is it Trey?
It's
Tyus, right?
Tyus.
They got ties.
Dylan Brooks.
At the
No,
backup,
no,
which
they
is
don't
a
have
really-
Dylan
no
Brooks.
Yeah,
Dylan
long
Brooks.
dog.
No
Long
more
dog.
Dylan Brooks.
Long
Uh,
dog.
We can talk about that
No
next.
more Dylan
Actually, we can
Brooks.
talk about Dylan.
Talk about someone who should be
But
blackballed
we've
from the
we've
league.
they've
That
got
fucking
Steven
guy.
they've got Steven Adams as well around.
Desmond
Like
Bane.
they have a really Desmond Bane. They have a really solid team around him, and I don't think they throw that away because of this. But they're definitely starting to worry, and um, if something, like I said, if something else were to happen, they've got to maybe pick up the phone if teams are calling.
Yeah. I think if that happens, every team is calling now.
Yeah.
They can get John Morant
They need to
But-
like.
for cheap because they know they're gonna have to like dump him.
Hey,
Every team is calling.
yeah, they need to do the.
So, I don't know if they'll do that.
They need to do what they do with Zion, in a way. Do you remember Zion when they signed him, or when he was on injury? They sent him to like Oregon or whatever to go do rehab. They need to send him in a place where guns aren't allowed. Simple. No, he can't be
Okay.
toting anything.
Like your friend's
Send his ass
Instagram
to
Live.
London.
Yeah, send them to England.
Send them to Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have them on
Put 'em on
Instagram
Twitch.
Live for like.
Send him
Yeah.
to Twitch.
constant Instagram live monitoring of John
Send him,
Morant.
send him on Twitch. Give it 24 hours. 24 hours a day, live on Twitch.
24-hour stream.
But, like, send him to a state where, like, guns aren't, like, legal. Hey, send him to Boston. Hey,
I don't think
hey,
that's the place,
Grizzlies,
man.
if y'all want to send John Morant to Boston, we'll give y'all Brogdon, Derek White, Grant Williams,
What?
Okay.
and in
I don't
place,
think
No,
that's
he
right.
can't be toting a
I
gun in
like
Boston.
I like Derek White too much. I'm a big Derek
Yeah.
White fan. He does
I
so
was gonna
much.
say,
But
I
for
think
Temetrius?
the combo of Derek White. Listen, statistically speaking, the value you get from Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, and Grant Williams probably higher than Temetrius if he's only playing fucking 49 games a year because he's suspended half the year.
And also
That's all I'm saying. Best
we've
ability
also
is
seen
availability.
we've also seen a lot of the time when the Grizzlies are without John Morant, they go on bigger win streaks than when they have him.
They do
Uh,
play better.
So it may be it seems like a lot of signs are pointing to maybe Ja being a problem in the locker room. He's a bad influence maybe, and that's a little bit disheartening as we see him as a father now. He has a young daughter that's looking up to him, and a lot of young kids look up to him as well. I think he's letting down a lot of people around the league, and there's uh, a lot a lot of influence he has, and I think he needs to consider that a little more.
Yeah, definitely.
I completely agree. I think he. I don't know. I feel like there's two ways this could go. I think he could continue down the path that, like, because again, this is two incidents in what, like 3 months, and he had his whole like apology tour and like the whole like trying to get people back on his side and like, wait, give me a second chance, and then he got a second chance, and then 2 months later he ruins it.
Yeah.
So I think this is like it in these types of situations. I always like to think about like, where is rock bottom? Like, are we at it now, or can we go further down? Because if we go further down, we have to think about his future as I don't know if I want to say a basketball player, because I feel
Guangdong's
like
always
someone would
hiring.
take him. I feel like, huh?
Guangdong's always hiring.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like he can either like this can either be his rock bottom and the place where he like jumps off and like starts as, I don't want to say a force for good, that's corny as shit, but like a positive role model in more ways than just like how you carry yourself on the basketball court. Or he could keep going down the path he's on now, which is only going to lead to more of this and more of these discussions. And at some point, the good faith that like people have in him that he can one day improve is just going to like disappear and disappear until the point where it's like, is it even worth it to keep him on a roster?
Yeah. One thing I just want to back up on before we wrap this up, and this I think it's gonna be a real quick one. We were talking about the playoffs. You know, Warriors just got eliminated, which also means Andre Iguodala retirement. Now, Andre Iguodala, let's talk about that. That was a solid role player for the Warriors for 7, 8 years. No, it's been what 10? No, because he left.
Um,
He left.
I think
on
it was around
on the
8.
Warriors, it's been
8 seasons.
I think 8.
Yeah.
8 seasons. Yeah.
You
8
know,
years.
He left.
yeah, he left because I forget, but I think he ended up in Miami.
I
I
don't know
think
where
he
he
ended up
went.
in Miami.
Yeah, he went to Miami for 2 years. Didn't
Yeah.
he?
Sat on the
Wasn't
bench
he in,
Not
like,
memorable years.
wasn't he in like Memphis for a year or something like that?
Maybe him and Ja.
And then I remember
Wherever he
like
was, it wasn't memorable.
Yes.
Yeah, him and Udonis
I
were
think he was
warming the
in Memphis.
bench.
Like,
One
he
of the
got
people.
signed by Memphis, and then he was like a problem in the locker room because he wanted to like tell the Grizzlies stuff they didn't want to hear about like
Hey,
what it means to play winning basketball, and they're like, "Nah, fuck that, you're out of here."
in
Yeah.
Which is
retrospect, he
not
should have
ever
listened.
the solution you should have.
That
if
is
that's what
really
you're doing.
funny in retrospect.
Yeah.
Especially looking at like what's happened to the Grizzlies now.
But you know,
Mhm.
7 finals appearances, 4 finals championships, a finals MVP, a couple All Stars. Is Andre Iguodala a Hall of Famer? Is he gonna go down as a Hall of Famer?
No shot. No shot. Dude, all right. Everybody
He
here.
should.
This is an exercise, right? Here's an exercise.
Here's an exercise.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Guess what Andre Iguodala's career averages are.
I'm not gonna
12,
guess.
8,
12 and 5.
8 and
Damn.
4.
I know them, so I'm not gonna guess.
Yeah, y'all are spot on. It's 11, 5, and 4 on
Ooh, I was
46
really
and
close.
33%. Yeah, not man, you were straight.
That's crazy.
But-
I'm him.
Here's the thing. Like, I understand he shows up in important moments. I understand he's a really strong defensive player. I understand he's a leader in the locker room. But we can't start giving out Hall of Fame plaques to the fucking Robert Ory's and Steve Kerrs of the world. Just because he was a core part of a championship team does not make him a Hall of Famer. A Hall of Famer is someone who was, for one, elite for some period of time. Andre Iguodala never averaged more than 20. Or he was someone who was very good for a very long time. Andre Iguodala was a one-time All-Star. So, like, yeah, he did a lot of important things, and he won Finals MVP. By the way, in that Finals MVP campaign, he put up 8, 3, and 3.
No. He put up 10, 4, and 3. Or 10, 5, and 4.
Okay. 10,
Big
5, and
difference.
4. Yeah, not.
He only held LeBron to 30.
Hey.
My point is simply that, like, I'll put it to you this way.
Damn,
when
that's
you
nasty.
you go on Basketball Reference, right?
That's so nasty.
You go on Basketball Reference, you look at Andre Iguodala's career, you go down to similarity scores, right? The player with the highest similarity score to Andre Iguodala is Andre Miller. We can't be giving out Hall of Fame plaques to Andre Miller with a few rings.
Hey, hear
We
me out
can't.
though. What you know about Andre Miller?
Listen,
In
man.
his
What you
20-year
know about
career.
Andre
Solid.
Miller?
He was solid.
That was a baller.
No, I tend to agree with Rocco. I think that especially with the amount of talent that's in the league now and for the past like 5 years or so, there is a lot of talent, and I think the standards for reaching that Hall of Fame level has to be raised as the talent of the league is raised. So I fully agree. I think Andre Iguodala, although I love him and I love his game and what he did for the Warriors team, and even back when he was in Denver and in Philly, he was. I loved his game, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think he's a great player, but I don't think he should be. If he were to be, it's just carried by that one Finals MVP if he gets in at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he should be, but if he were to, it's like they'd have to get. If that's the case, D Rose is in the Hall of Fame. He has to.
Hey, hold on.
I agree. Derrick Rose should be Hall of Famer, but if Iggy gets in,
D Rose jersey.
D Rose.
Yeah,
that's my guy.
But no, I don't think Iggy should be Hall of Famer. Bottom line.
Yeah, but also they're bad at that because like Dwight's probably not going to end up in the Hall of Fame, but he should. Realistically, Dwight Howard's a Hall of Famer.
I think Dwight. I think they'll let him in. I
hope they need to.
Yeah.
Shout out Dwight playing his ass off in time.
He went to a finals, right? Didn't he?
He has a chip.
He led it.
He has a chip with. Was it with the Lakers?
He has a chip with the Lakers.
Magic.
He did.
The bubble. It was the bubble team, right?
He had the bubble team.
Yeah.
He did go with the Magic. It was against the Spurs.
Okay, that's right.
In what is that? 07? 07? I think that was that 07
so
year.
He led a team to the finals.
Yeah,
he did.
Iggy's never done that.
Well,
that's fair.
You know, according
Iggy
to
was the seventh option leading a team.
Hey, according to that 2014-15, you remember what Max Kellerman said? Fate of history on the line. Death Star beamed upon you.
Martians got the.
I want Iguodala.
No. I don't think he should. I think there are a lot of people who should be in it, ahead of him. I think if he does become one, he's not first ballot. He's definitely not first ballot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no way.
If they throw him young, throw him one, Udonis Haslam need ones. At this point. Putting him in the Hall of Fame, throw UD in there, basically.
Love me some Udon.
What do we? Wait, no, I had a jumping off point from that. Oh yeah, what do we think about Stephon Marbury as a Hall of Famer?
Shut up. Shut your mouth.
Shut it. You just like strawberries.
Hey,
you just like strawberries.
I do like I bought a Stephon Marbury Knicks jersey because of strawberries. I love that man.
I bought a Steph. Oh shit! He was 20 and 8.
Yeah, no, he.
2 All-Stars, 2 All.
No,
he ain't no All-Star.
He was a hooper.
Nah, because here's the thing.
He was a hooper for a little bit, but he just wasn't. He didn't have the longevity that he needed.
My point is, if we're putting Iguodala in the Hall of Fame, Stephon Marbury's also got to go in the Hall of Fame.
No.
Two very different reasons. However, like the amount of value they added to the game of basketball is right here, dead even. Because those Warriors teams realistically could have won without Iguodala. I would say. Here's the thing. If you have a player like Iguodala that isn't Iguodala, they still win at least 3 out of those 4. You know what I mean? Like it's not particular to Andre Iguodala as a player. Like the only case Andre Iguodala has to be a Hall of Famer, I think, would be if he were to have something that was like singular to him. Like for example,
the Finals MVP.
Well, nah, but my point is, if you if you give Tony Allen Andre Iguodala's teams, then Tony Allen's a Hall of Famer magically overnight. But like, it's just not. Iguodala is just not that guy. He was not the best defender in the league. Like he was an elite defender. He was never the best defender in the league. He was never the best at any one thing. His career was not good after like his 10th season. He carried on for like another 8. Didn't put up any numbers. Didn't contribute that much outside of defense and leadership. Like he's. Yeah.
Tony
I
Allen
don't see it.
Tony Allen also has
Tony Allen.
Yeah.
He won one with us.
Oh wait, Celtics, baby.
07.
Oh,
07, 08.
Let's go.
I didn't realize he was on that team.
Yeah, he was. What is that?
He was young too. That should have been his prime.
No, but he was not that young. He came into the league at like 23.
Yeah, he came in at 23.
So
some reason, he didn't hit it. He didn't hit his prime until like 31, though.
Hit his
like,
prime,
offensively at least.
I was about to say Tony Allen prime. Damn. All right, so I think that might wrap it up for this episode. I think we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, I think so.
We have a lot to look forward to. The NBA lottery is tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow when this comes out, but yeah, it's Tuesday. As long as first game of the Western Conference Finals is tomorrow, 8:30. I think, and we're gonna try to do these podcasts, every week or every other week. So by the next time we'll have a lot to talk about. I think we might be in the finals by the next time we record. I think
there might be a finals matchup. I don't know if we're gonna be there, but
yeah. We hope you guys enjoy. I think that this will be a fun little thing. Right now, we just got out of college. We all go to the same college. But the goal is to kind of, record over the summer, and then we're going to come back. And then these boys are going to live in a trailer, and I'm going to live real close. So the goal is to be recording in person by August. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz.
Notification.
Oh yeah, hit the noti.
Hey,
Join the Nick Claxton fan club.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
Hit the post.
Our Patreon doesn't exist.
Our Patreon doesn't exist yet.
Hey, not yet.
But we will get there.
Premium content on the Patreon.
No, fucking 92 cents in my checking account. I could use that Patreon money.
Yeah, come on, guys. You know what? If we get.
It's only going on Patreon. So
yeah. Let's have a like goal, and then if we hit the likes, let's start a Patreon.
No promotion.
Yeah. Let's hit a like goal
for us. Just drop it on the Patreon.
All right, let's say if we hit 75, we'll drop the Patreon immediately. But also that means
Yeah.
guys gotta pay for it, so just remember that. Because
It'll be
like y'all not
we'll
getting
make
free
it like
Patreon.
5
We'll give you
cents.
some extra
5
content.
No, we'll
cents
make
a
it like
month.
we'll make it a few
Send you my
dollars.
England hits.
We'll
Five
make it
cents
something real
annual
cheap.
plan.
75 likes on the first one, and we'll make a Patreon, and we'll charge what $4 or $5 extra content. Also, in terms of guests, if you want to be on the podcast and you know about basketball, feel free to reach out. We're gonna create probably an Instagram of some sort. We'll have an email that'll be in our bio, like a business email. Just reach out there. Reach out via Instagram if you know us. Reach out to us via Instagram, and we'll figure something out. Uh, yeah, that's all from me. Anybody else got anything?
Think
No,
we're
I'm
good.
set.
I'm good.
All right. This is the Nick Claxton Fan Club signing off.
Later, boss.
Bye.